Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience as we work through some technical issues. I just love technology when it works just the way it's supposed to. You are tuning into Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Becca Dukes. Let's go ahead and open up that waiting room. Let people in, folks. Yes, this is a live Zoom where we are providing information that is empowering to individuals. So you may be listening, but I sure hope that you're hearing as well, because the information that we share on this program can be life-changing, whether it's for you, someone in your family, or someone else that you know. Make sure that you are paying attention, because as you're listening and hearing, and you think of somebody, make sure that you share this program with them. This could be what they have been searching for and not finding in the regular medical model. So, folks, you are tuning in to Daily with Doc. This program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com, where we have abundant information, including previous programs that we have done here on the Daily with Doc show, and also a good foods, bad foods list to help guide you in what you should and shouldn't be eating when it comes to what is needed to regain or maintain a better health journey. So without future, I mean, yeah, without future issues. I am excited as we usually have Pharmacist Fridays. Well, today we are starting this marvelous Monday out with Pharmacist Ben as well, because we have people asking questions about skin issues. And one of them in particular that has been said to be an autoimmune, depending on where you look, where you read, that it runs in families, but in other places it's not contagious, and it can be triggered by environments and stress and digestion and what you put on your skin. Some places say that it's the cells regenerating faster than they should. Well, we are going to be bringing to the screen a man who specializes in skin and nutrition, as we have Pharmacist Ben, the nutritional pharmacist, here to guide and direct us, as he has been working in pharmacy and in skin for, I think, 30 years, maybe more.
30.
20?
1982, I developed my first skin care product.
Okay, that's 42 years ago, Ben. I wasn't
Crazy.
Isn't
You know,
that
you can be
crazy?
the dumbest guy on the planet, but in 42 years, you're going to learn a thing or two.
In 42 years,
Imagine.
you are going to learn a lot. And the nice thing about it is others don't have to take that 42 years to gain this knowledge.
Right.
Because in the next 45 minutes, we're going to be sharing some spectacular information that is going to help you as an individual know what it is to help yourself and others. So, Pharmacist Ben.
Yes, ma'am. I need a little BTT before we start.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
What?
I just need a little Beyond Tangy before we start. Go ahead.
Okay, well, here, cheers. I got mine too.
Cheers.
Cheers. So, okay, psoriasis, inflammation of the skin, it can occur anywhere on the body. And, when I'm looking at pictures, I'm thinking, oh, that's got to be painful and itch. And it makes me so thankful that I don't and have not experienced it. But when I do come across somebody who does have it, I myself as an individual want to know how I can better help and coach them. And I know we've got a bunch of coaches here that want to know the same. And as we are a resource for an amazing community of health coaches, we want to make sure that if you were invited to this program by somebody specific, you get back with them with your questions. So, Pharmacist Ben, let's provide some answers.
All right. So you said the word itch, which is very interesting because psora means itch. Psoriasis, the name itself tells you itch. Talks about itch. Psoriasis is most definitely an autoimmune disease. Did you say that there's did you say you read that it was not an autoimmune disease? That's
no,
not correct.
That it is an autoimmune. It's set off by your immune system, which causes inflammation that triggers the new skin cells to form too quickly.
Well, here's how it works. First of all, let's talk about autoimmune disease, just so we set the baseline here. Autoimmune diseases are very mysterious because the premise that the medical model and the healthcare standard healthcare professional dogma is that the body goes crazy and it just attacks itself for no known reason. And that's the standard dogma. There's no known cause for autoimmune disease, of which there's probably 100 plus. They find new autoimmune diseases all the time. So there's about 100 plus, affect about 30, 40 million people or so. And the standard dogma is that there's no cause and you're going to be on this medicine for the rest of your life because there's nothing that can be done about it. However, there is a cause and there is a lot that can be done about it. And when I explain to you how the whole thing works, it'll make perfect sense. I know we've done it before, but repetition being reinforcement, it's worthwhile talking about it again. So all disease is cell disease, and all cell disease is preceded by, AJ, dirty blood. I know you're on mute, so I said it for you. All disease is cell disease, and all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. Autoimmune diseases are no different. They're cell diseases that affect the cells. The body attacks the cells, and the immune cells attack various cells of the body, and it all begins with dirty blood. How does the blood become dirty? Two ways. Injections, and people who inject can get autoimmune diseases. I have a whole textbook in my reference library called Vaccines and Autoimmunity. I know I shouldn't have said that word because the algorithm doesn't like that, so I apologize. V's and autoimmunity. And it's well known that when you get injected with a V, an autoimmune disease is possible. For most people, that's not where autoimmune diseases begin. That's not where the dirty blood condition begins. For most people, the dirty blood condition begins at the level of the intestine and the digestive system. It's no accident that there's a relationship between autoimmunity and digestive health. And as I've talked about many, many times, if you're interested in an experiential story from a medical doctor named Terry Walls, it makes very instructive reading. She cured herself of an autoimmune disease, literally cured herself of an autoimmune disease, although I like the word reversed. She had multiple sclerosis, which is one of the most hideous of the autoimmune diseases that affects the nerves, simply by laying off of gluten and changing the way she ate and practicing intermittent fasting. No more multiple sclerosis. Despite what the medical dogma is, no cure, no known cause, blah, 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 she reversed it herself. And anybody can reverse it themselves because you can't have an autoimmune disease without dirty blood. And the cause of dirty blood, with the exception of injections, is intestinal health. So that's autoimmunity. Think dirty blood. Think digestive strategies. We'll talk about that in terms of psoriasis here in a second. The second thing I want to talk about is the skin real quickly. You look at the skin, and I've been studying it for 40 years plus, so I have an understanding of it, and people who study the skin have an understanding of it, but I sometimes wonder, what does the average person think of when they see the skin? What is this thing? Isn't this very mysterious? Come on, think about it. Rebecca, I'm using you as my icon here because I can't see everybody, but isn't it kind of weird? What is this thing called the skin? Right? It's kind of bizarre. It's an organ, but does this look like an organ? An organ is throbby and bloody and gooey, and you don't want to see an organ. You don't want to see your heart. You don't want to see your spleen. You don't want to see your lungs. You don't want to see your intestine. An organ has this kind of image. We have this image in our heads when we think of an organ as something that is just kind of red and throbby and it's nothing you want to really see, but our skin is an organ. So what's going on here? Well, it turns out that the organ-like nature of the skin is beneath the surface. The surface, while it's active, is biochemically active, is made up largely of dead tissue. The surface of the skin is dead, and this is what allows us to do these crazy things when you think about it, like rubbing creams on an organ. You never rub a cream on your heart. You never rub a cream on your intestine or in your spleen. But because the surface of the skin is dead and so resilient and a barrier, we don't think anything of just rubbing stuff on the surface. The livingness of the skin is underneath. In order to understand how psoriasis works, you got to kind of zoom in with your X-ray vision onto how the skin is architected, how it's structured. So the skin, the surface is made up of dead tissue, much like your fingernail. Your fingernail is made up of dead tissue. And in fact, the same material that makes up your fingernail makes up the surface of the skin largely. It's called keratin. It's a hard protein that is not only found in your fingernails, it also forms the outside coating of your hair, feathers, hooves, deer antlers, rhinoceros horns, fish scales, crocodile and alligator skin are all made up of this hard protein called keratin. It's found throughout nature. Wherever nature needs hardness, you'll find keratin. Underneath the keratin, you have on the skin, you have layers. So the skin is stratified, like lasagna, it's layered. The bottom layer of the skin is where the action is. The bottom layer of the skin is where cells are born. They're living cells. They're called keratinocytes. Cyte means cell. Keratin is this hard protein that we're talking about. And the skin cell is called a keratinocyte because it makes keratin. And this will become a little more clear as I tell you how this whole thing progresses. So you got stem cells, first of all, in the bottom of the skin, and those stem cells get turned into keratinocytes. And the keratinocytes, skin cells, keratinocytes, sites that make keratin, cells that make keratin, start to rise from the bottom to the top. They are born at the bottom of the skin. That's called the basal layer, as in base. And this basal layer, where the skin cells, the keratinocytes, are born, functions as the bottom, the home base, from which keratinocytes start to rise from the bottom to the top. The keratinocyte is alive at the point it's at the basal layer where it's born, and then it migrates upwards to the next layer, which is called the squamous layer. The skin cell is still alive at the level of the squamous layer. And the only place a skin cell is alive is at the basal layer and the squamous layer, because as it's rising to the top, it becomes progressively more and more dead. Actually, it dies after it leaves the squamous layer, which is why skin cancers are called basal cell cancers or squamous cell cancers. Those are the only type of skin cancer. Those are the only type of skin cancers that you get, aside from melanoma, is basal cell carcinoma and squamous cell carcinoma, because that's the only two layers where a skin cell is living. Once the skin cell leaves the squamous layer, it's no longer alive. As the skin cell is rising from the bottom to the top, it's dumping its contents overboard, and it's becoming progressively more flat and dead. And as it rises from the bottom to the top, it finally comes to rest at the surface, where it's no longer called a keratinocyte, it's called a corneocyte. Corneo means hard, and cyte means cell. Corneocyte means hard cell, or as more technically, the horny cell, meaning it's hard like a horn. And this corneocyte is at the surface. This is very important. This journey, or this transit time, is extremely important for the health of the surface of the skin, the barrier, and keeping the skin moving upwards at just the right pace is very important. This will become a little more clear here in a second when we talk about psoriasis. So, cells born in the basal layer, round and plump and juicy. And then, as the keratinocyte rises up from the bottom top, it dumps its contents overboard. It becomes more progressively flatter and deader, or flatter and dead. And as it reaches the top, it's flat and dead. Starts its life round and plump and juicy, finishes it up flat and dead. Just like people. Round and plump and juicy at the beginning, flat and dead at the end. And as it's rising up from the bottom, you like that, AJ? Nobody else is laughing, just you. That's all right. You got my jokes. So what's really cool about this process, by the way, is those contents that are dumped overboard as the keratinocyte is rising from the bottom to the top, those are going to become moisture factors. This is how the skin stays hydrated and moisturized. How cool is that? As the skin cell's rising from the bottom to the top and dumping its contents overboard, those contents become functional. This is how beautiful the body is. How elegantly constructed biochemist, or how elegantly organized the biochemical phenomena of the human body is. The very contents that get dumped overboard get converted into moisture factors, sponges and sealants for the surface. So this movement from the bottom to the top is extremely important for the health of the entire skin. And the movement from the bottom to the top is given a very special name. This movement from the bottom to the top, we call it transit. The movement, but more specifically, as the keratinocyte is rising from the bottom to the top, it's taking on a different shape as it rises from the bottom to the top. And then it comes to rest at the surface. This different shape is called, the process of forming the different shape is called differentiation. And differentiation is a major player in disease. When we have a disease, oftentimes it's because cells are not differentiating correctly. The classic example of cells not differentiating correctly leading to disease is cancer. Cancer is a classic differentiation disease, and we're going to see here in a moment that the same treatment for psoriasis works for cancer, because Cancer and psoriasis are both differentiation issues, diseases associated with differentiation. So the movement from cells from the bottom to top, this differentiation process is extremely important. There's a whole bunch more I want to say about it, but in the interest of time, I want to jump into how psoriatic lesions begin. So we talked about how autoimmune disease is the result of dirty blood, toxicity that enters into the bloodstream. Once toxins get into the bloodstream, and by toxins, I'm talking about bad guys in combination with good guys. The good guys are the Defense Department, the immune factors. When you get toxins in the blood, the immune system wakes up. Oh my God, red alert. Remember Lost in Space? The show Lost in Space? Remember the robot? Danger, 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 Will Robinson. Remember that? That's the blood when toxins get into the bloodstream. Danger, danger, danger. And immune cells are all sent to the area, sent into the blood, and these immune cells combine with the toxins, usually food particles like gluten or other kinds of lectins, or they could also be bacterial particles like parts of bacteria that live in the intestine, or they could be immune molecules from the intestine. Whatever it is, these go into the bloodstream. The immune cells come from are sent to the area. The immune soldiers, it's almost like a battle, and they combine with the bad guys. The good guys combine with the bad guys to form complexes. They call them immune complexes. Or more specifically, because these immune complexes are circulating the blood, they call them circulating immune complexes, or CICs. And all autoimmune diseases have CICs associated with them. That alone should tell any healthcare professional exactly what's happening. They'll actually test for CICs to see if you have an autoimmune disease. They'll look for circulating immune complexes. So these circulating immune complexes are now in the blood because the blood is very, very tightly regulated. You know, we look at the blood, we just see, you know, we don't think of much of the blood, but the blood is a very, very complex system. It's a tissue. It's actually a liquid tissue. And it has just the right amount of stuff in it, just the right amount of proteins and just the right pH and just the right amount of water. And it's all tightly controlled and tightly regulated. But now you've introduced this contaminant into the blood, these CICs into the blood. That changes everything. It changes the pH level. It changes the hydration level. It changes the solid level, the solids in the blood. Everything changes. So this is a major problem for the bloodstream and for the body. So the body does something very beautiful. It will take these CICs and dump them in the tissue, dump them in the connective tissue, or dump them in the glands, the thyroid gland, or the nerves, or the nerves, or it'll dump them in the brain, or it'll dump them in various soft tissues, including the thyroid, including the nerve cells, including the kidneys, including the skin. And now you have a situation where you have immune cells in the various organs, wherever the immune cells have been dumped. If they're dumped in the thyroid or they're dumped in the nerves, now the nerves or the thyroid or the muscle or the connective tissue will all look foreign. They'll all look distorted because they've got these circulating immune complexes in there. And then the immune system will then initiate an attack on that organ. If you understand what I just said there, you know more about autoimmune diseases than your doctor. That is the mechanism of autoimmunity. And it's not medical. It's logical. It's plumbing. It has to do with the movement of fluids in the system. Toxicity gets into the fluids in the system dumps those toxins into the tissues then become the site of attack. That's the mechanism of autoimmunity. So what does that have to do with psoriasis, or how does psoriasis involve? Well, when toxins get dumped into the skin, this transit process, this differentiation process becomes disturbed. And the signals that feed back to the basal layer, where the cells are born and start, are disrupted. Under ordinary circumstances, once the cell reaches the surface, signals are sent down to the bottom. Hey, we got enough shingles on this roof. No more shingles. And the system stops. But once you've introduced toxins into the skin, now the immune system attacks the skin cells, and the skin cells are no longer able to feed back to the basal layer. And the differentiation process never stops. And so instead of having a nice smooth skin surface, now you have piles of dead cells on the surface. They call them plaques. And these plaques are the hallmark sign of psoriasis. And once you have the plaques on the skin, there ain't nothing you could do about it because the plaques are dead and they're outside the body. They're on the surface of the skin. So what do? If you go to a dermatologist, they can't do anything except for suppress the immune system. And that is the only thing the dermatologist can do, is suppress the immune system, with one exception, which I'll tell you about here in a second. Suppressing the immune system either with steroids, like prednisone, used to be the way to do it. Now they have fancy schmancy immune suppressants called biologics. We've talked about them in the past. Biologics are just high-tech immune suppressants. They have a very sophisticated mechanism involving genetic technology, and they're super expensive, which is why you see commercials for them every 2 minutes. You know, you can't watch the news or you can't watch primetime TV or any TV really without seeing a commercial for Jardiance or Dupixent or Solera or I Can See Clearly Now, you know, and they always have a song that they sing. And the Broadway musical one, that gets me every time. The Jardiance, you know, where the mailman is singing and the puppy, the dog is singing and everybody's singing. They're all happy. And, you know, the reason you see these commercials is because these drugs cost patients or the insurance companies thousands, up to $10,000, even more dollars a month. And the cost of the drug is pennies. You're turning pennies into tens of thousands of dollars. Multiply that by millions of times, the millions of doses and the millions of patients they're on, you could start to see making some serious money. So they pound the airways of these commercials to try to get people to buy these things. The point being that to try to shut down the immune system isn't going to help the problem. To try to shut down the immune system at best is going to take care of the symptoms. And psoriasis is one of the most horrible of all the autoimmune diseases. It's associated with heart disease. It's associated with cancer. It's associated with other digestive problems. It's associated with metabolic syndrome and insulin resistance and obesity and hypertension and a whole host of other health challenges that are not going to be improved by simply knocking out the immune system. So people who have psoriasis are running higher risks for other degenerative diseases, other autoimmune diseases, cancer, and a shortened lifespan if they don't address the problem at the cause. And one other thing I should tell you is, while the medical professionals and healthcare representatives of the medical model are not known for using nutritional supplementation, as it turns out, even doctors cannot avoid the conclusion that there's one nutrient in particular that can actually reverse psoriasis or whose deficiencies are associated with psoriasis, and that's vitamin D. And if you go to a dermatologist, a smart dermatologist, what they'll do is they'll put you under a sun lamp because it turns out that vitamin D has a beneficial effect on differentiation. Vitamin D is partially involved in the differentiation process, as is vitamin A. And both vitamin A and vitamin D work together. That's why you have vitamin A and D ointment for healing diaper rash or for healing burns. Both vitamin A and D control or partially regulate the differentiation process, which is why both vitamin A and vitamin D are two nutritional strategies for dealing with cancer. Even vitamin A in particular is actually considered chemotherapy for certain types of cancer. Lung cancer in particular, they use vitamin A as chemotherapy because it supports the differentiation process. So with the exception of vitamin D, the only thing the doctor can do is immune suppressants. So what do you do if you have psoriasis? Well, there's a heck of a lot you could do. First of all, you can get back to the cause. And the cause of psoriasis is going to be located in the intestine. So the psoriasis patient has to immediately go on to has to immediately fast for a couple of days and then start doing a food diary. The most likely suspects are going to be gluten and lectins of all kinds, and eggs and dairy and grains and peanuts and soy. There's a lot of usual suspects, but it can be anything. The second thing you want to do is and then you're going to eliminate those foods. The second thing you want to do is you want to start to support digestive health. Digestive health means, number one, correcting dysbiosis. Dysbiosis is a fancy way of saying messed up gut bacteria, and longevity has one of the all-time great anti-dysbiosis products you could ever use. It's phenomenal. High tech. You're not going to see it in very many places. We've talked about it before. It's called I-26. Psoriasis patients should be put on I-26 immediately. Got that in your hand there? I got mine here too. I-26. I use it every day. I don't have psoriasis. I don't have an autoimmune disease. I use it every day. And that's a quick digression here. We're always focusing on helping people who are sick. Healthy people need the Healthy Start Pack too. Healthy people need I-26 too. Healthy people need nutritional supplementation too. Yes, it's great for people who aren't healthy, but healthy people need it too. So I-26, also the Nightly Essence, also the Ultimate Microbiome, the Daily Digest, the entire digestive pack. Digestive support is critical, and sometimes that alone can correct problems, can correct psoriatic lesions, correct autoimmune problems, and the problems with psoriasis. The second thing is, in addition to avoiding problem foods and correcting dysbiosis, is when you have an intestinal problem, you have a 1-2 punch. Remember Rock'em Sock'em Robots? Boom, boom. 1-2 punch. Rock'em Sock'em. Punch number one, boom. Toxicity gets into the blood, initiates an autoimmune disease. But punch number two is nutritional deficiencies, because nutrients are absorbed at the level of the intestine through the intestinal wall. And once the intestine becomes inflamed, once the intestine becomes leaky, you're not going to absorb your nutrients. And the most important nutrients for the skin, for all skin issues, are the hardest nutrients for the body to absorb anyway, which are the fatty nutrients. And so psoriatic patients who have psoriasis typically will have intestinal problems. So they'll have leaky gut and dysbiosis, which you can correct with your food strategies, but you also want to make sure you're pounding the body with fat-soluble nutrients, particularly A and D, but also E and K. You'll get them all in your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, your Healthy Start Pack. I would also be using fatty minerals. There's 2 minerals that are handled by the fat system that are especially important for the skin. And those are your Zinc FX and your Ultimate Selenium. So psoriasis patients should be put on Zinc FX and Ultimate Selenium, in addition to the Healthy Start Pack, in addition to the Healthy Digestion Pack. And then the last product that I would recommend is a product that's important for healing of all tissue, particularly healing the skin, and that's the FucoidZ. For all broken skin, wounded skin, inflamed skin issues, the FucoidZ can be incredibly valuable. And in the case of autoimmune disease, FucoidZ also has a blood cleaning effect. Fucoidin has a blood cleaning effect. So the FucoidZ can help there. So the strategies for dealing with psoriasis are no different from the strategies for dealing with any autoimmune disease, with the exception of the topical vitamin D from the sun. Psoriasis patients should be under a sun lamp or be exposed to the sun. Other than that, they're all the same. Work on digestive health. Clean out the blood. Pound the body with all the nutrients, but particularly the fatty nutrients, as well as digestive support nutrition.
Okay, I'm going to say wow, because whenever you were talking about the vitamins that were so important for the skin, and let me get myself up here as well. I was expecting you to say EFAs.
Oh, I forgot that one. I forgot one. You're right. The ultimate EFAs are incredibly valuable for inflammation and anti-inflammation. And remember, the psoriatic lesions are partially associated with the inflammatory process. And you're going to be deficient in EFAs if you have an intestinal problem, celiac disease, Crohn's disease, leaky gut, IBS, and there's a major association between all of these digestive health challenges and psoriasis. So yes, I forgot to mention the ultimate EFAs, particularly GLA, which is found in both of them, but I think it's found in the plus. A little bit more is found in the plus. One of them has a little bit more. I think it's the plus. And GLA is particularly valuable for psoriasis, as are omega-3 fatty acids. Thank you for bringing that up because I did forget that.
Well, and those are also fatty vitamins, fatty nutrients.
Fatty nutrients, yes.
So lots of information shared here, folks. So I hope that you were taking notes. If not, make sure that you are tuning in live with us so that you can get the notes that Marilyn is putting into the chat if you are here, and then only available here live with us on the Daily with Doc show. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we start taking questions? Because I do have some skin questions for you.
Yeah. Let's. Does anybody have any questions about what I said about the whole psoriasis thing? I hope everybody's hearing that nobody has to have psoriasis. That you can reverse it. You can reverse it in one day. You can start the reversal process. It may take you a few months to completely reverse it, but the reversal process can begin immediately. All disease is cell disease. All cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. Clean the blood through the digestive strategies we talk about.
Yes. So Marilyn has her hand up for a question. Marilyn, what question do you have about this topic today?
Well, I don't have psoriasis. I have seen psoriasis. I have an issue with age spots.
Oh.
A lot of sun. I had a lot of stress.
Don't blame the sun. But stress. You just said the stress. Now, keep in mind, age spots is kind of a misleading term because there's two kinds of age spots. There's the age spots that are made up of pigment, which is called melanin, skin pigment. Then there's the age spots that are made up of old intracellular material. As we age and cells die, what's supposed to happen is the contents of the dead cells are supposed to get burnt up in a furnace inside the cell, believe it or not. There's a little furnace, and that furnace is supposed to break up that cell and supposed to get all those parts are supposed to get recycled. The recycling of those old parts occurs through delivery in the lymphatic system. But because a lot of folks, especially as they age, have clogged up lymph and the lymph is not moving as effectively, those used old cellular contents from dead cells can get deposited in various parts of the body. Remember, this is how the body works. It will stick waste material, like we talked about with psoriasis, into various tissues. And this old dead cell material will appear yellow, and it will actually be deposited in the eyes sometimes, or in the various organs inside the body, and also in the skin, or in the nervous system, the brain, or in the nerves. This stuff, this yellowish pigment, is different from the kind of dark spots that people will have that are skin pigment. So you have pigment that's skin pigment, and then you have a pigment that's made up of waste products from dead cells that aren't getting recycled or transported correctly. The pigments that come from the skin, those are called, that pigment is called melanin. You probably heard the term melanin. It comes from the word black. Melanin is amazing stuff, by the way. Melanin keeps you healthy, and people who have more melanin in their skin tend to have healthier skin. Melanin is found inside the body as much as it's found outside the body, and you can have melanoma of the brain. Jimmy Carter, former President Carter, famously had melanoma of the brain. Melanin is found in the brain. Melanin is found in the genitals. Melanin is found throughout the body, scattered throughout the body. You have melanoma inside your body. When I was in pharmacy school, we did an autopsy on a farmer who, we cut him open, he had melanoma all throughout the inside of his body because melanin is found inside the body. Pigment cells that make melanin, melanocytes, are found everywhere. However, the second pigment is a completely different form. It's called, this yellowish kind of pigment that's often found in the eyes and in the skin, is called lipofuchsin. It's fatty, so it's lipo, and fuchsin refers to the fact that it has a yellowish color. So lipofuchsin deposits are oftentimes called age spots, and the problem with that is is lipofuscin deposits do not respond to the same kind of skin lightening strategies that melanin deposits do. To get rid of melanin is different from getting rid of lipofuscin. In fact, lipofuscin is much more difficult to get rid of than melanin, and people who have age spots and don't make that distinction will try to treat their lipofuscin like it's melanin and nothing's going to happen.
Well, it's interesting you say that because Kara Ringland did an eye analysis of me, and she says there's yellow.
That's lipofuscin.
And so I kept doing the chemical peels and all that, and it just keeps coming back, and I kept...
That's lipofuscin. That's a lymphatic issue. That's a sign that you're not clearing things out appropriately, and you want to start using lymphatic strategies for doing that. Also, if it's happening... What's that?
Technique for all the different, lymphatic...
Yeah, lymphatic drainage and all the things you want to do for the lymph system. Drinking more water, slow deep breathing, lymphatic massage, hanging upside down on a rebounder, hot and cold showers. There's a lot of different strategies for doing that. Removing the lymph is critical for anti-aging and for good health. And as we age, our lymph becomes clogged. The lymph is responsible for clearing out toxicity, but the lymph is also important for delivering hormones and delivering vitamins. So once the lymph becomes clogged, you're in a world of hurt. Keeping that lymph moving clearly is keeping that lymph moving effectively is very important. Lipofuscin is a sign that things aren't moving right. So, and it also could be a sign that cells are dying at too rapid a clip. So the lymphatic system can't handle all that waste. So between cells dying and clogged up lymph, that's where lipofuscin is going to start to accumulate. And the reason it's important is because people will see spots on their hands. Usually lipofuscin will look like the map of France. That's what I call it. You ever see those weird geographical things that happen on people's hands? That's lipofuscin. And it's deeper than melanin. It's not on the surface, it's deep. And so people will try all these scrubs and all these different strategies for getting rid of the lipofuscin. It doesn't work. The only way to get rid of lipofuscin is to facilitate lymphatic drainage, and if there's something causing excessive cell death, to eliminate whatever's doing that. Make sense? There's no single strategy for that, although fatty vitamins can help, particularly like we talked about before, vitamins D, E, A, and K, and essential fats. And then the most important...
on top?
Internal, not top. No, you can't do anything about it topically. It's deep. It's located way deep. And then also keeping the main cause of lymphatic congestion is, no surprise, the digestive system. The lymphatic system begins in the intestine. And there's a special locus of connection between the intestine and the lymph called the Peyer's patches, P-E-Y-E-R-S, Peyer's patches, and this is a major source of the disease process because this is how toxicity gets into the blood or into the lymph. The lymph is incredibly important, and we don't really address it anywhere near as much as we should. Once stuff gets into the lymph, it eventually makes it into the bloodstream, but keeping the intestine healthy and keeping toxins out of the intestine, eating correctly, and correcting dysbiosis is very important for the lymphatic system as much as it is for the blood system. So lipofuscin has to be distinguished from hyperpigmentation. Hyperpigmentation.
Okay. I try to follow longevity's protocols. I'm doing the best I can, but
well, you go by their fruits, you will know them. So you go by your symptoms. Always go by your symptoms. Your symptoms don't lie, and if you still have symptoms, then there's other places that you can work on. Now, dark spots, they technically call that melasma. Lipofuscin is different from melasma. Melasma, some people say hyperpigmentation, dark spots, if you will, are based in the stress response. Pigmentation is the way the body protects itself from stress. And here's where it becomes very interesting. The same chemistry that's associated with the stress response that is triggered by bad food, by psychological issues, by inflammation, that same stress chemistry will not only cause the secretion of cortisol, stress hormones, it will also cause pigmentation. The stress response is global. In fact, the pigmentation chemistry is part of what is called the melanocortin system. Melanocortin, it says it right in the word, melanin and cortisol. The melanocortin system is your stress chemical biochemistry system, and it is associated with both melanin and cortisol. So pigmentation is part of the stress response. And this is why it's so difficult to deal with, because when the body thinks there's an emergency, it could care less about your skin. It could care less about how you look when you go out to a party. It's trying to save your life. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really force the body not to have a stress response unless you give it heavy-duty drugs. And that's what they do. They give it heavy-duty drugs. The way to deal with hyperpigmentation is to deal with stress chemistry. The major stress chemistry hormones are going to be cortisol, which is a stress hormone, but also estrogen. And it turns out that when women are on the birth control pill, or when women are on hormone replacement therapy, or simply when they're spiking estrogen, like when they're pregnant, they'll get the mask of pregnancy. Have you ever heard of that? The mask of pregnancy? Women are it's notorious to have women, and by the way, most melasma occurs in women because of estrogen. So keeping your estrogen balanced is very important, and helping your body clear out estrogen is very important. And as we said before, it's no accident that 90% of autoimmune diseases occur in women. Hypothyroidism is a female issue. Melasma is a female issue. Depression is a female issue. And most chronic diseases are female issues. And women generally are more prone towards these things than men. And it's not because women have to deal with men. It's because of estrogen.
Really?
Don't blame the guys. It's hard being a woman. I know that, but on top of everything else, now you got to deal with toxic estrogen and chronic degenerative diseases that are associated with excess estrogen. So I don't want to digress too much in telling you how to get rid of estrogen, but estrogen is very confusing because estrogen is a super powerful hormone and has to be eliminated quickly. If you're not eliminating quickly, if you have problems at the level of the liver, problems at the level of the intestine, these are the two, or bile or gallbladder, your estrogen is going to start to build up, particularly an extra toxic form of estrogen, and that's really where estrogen becomes problematic. So working on estrogen is very, very important for a woman, helping clear out estrogen, helping detoxify estrogen, and helping balance out estrogen. Were you going to say something, Rebecca?
Well, so I think we can talk more about the lymphatic system and estrogen on our next Pharmacist Ben on Daily with Doc, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
I do have two questions and another hand that's up before you have to go.
Yes.
So I am going to ask Joelle to unmute, and I'm going to do a screen share as she has sent in some pictures of two different skin conditions.
All right.
So why is it not?
She's unmuted. Oh,
All right. So here we go. So first, we're going to share a picture, and we're looking at the lips,
Okay.
Pharmacist Ben.
Yes. Those look very unhappy, those lips.
They are
Those are
not
unhappy
happy.
lips. Who is this, Joelle, that I'm talking to?
Yes.
Joelle, is this you?
Yes. I'm
Okay.
stuck on the screen saying done speaking on mute.
Okay, no worries, but I can see you, but your lips look very sad. And then what's on your neck there?
Oh, just red spots.
No, there's no just red spots. That's very important information, those red spots. And then I saw another spot that you had earlier. I saw a spot. All of these, yeah.
Other spot is a different person, from
Oh,
my
it's a different
understanding.
person. Okay. So this is just, let's deal with this here. Okay, this is a reaction. What?
both pictures of Joelle.
They're both pictures of Joelle?
No. Are you sure, AJ? One I sent in was my husband, right?
Oh, that was your husband. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, so let's do this one first, okay? Those, that's very important information on your neck there. Are they always there or they flare?
Always there, I guess.
Okay, so those are reactions. Anytime you have redness, you have a reaction. Okay, I'm going to proceed. I'm going to move forward, but I want to make sure that makes sense.
Yes.
Anytime you have redness, you got a reaction. That's one of the ways. Redness is a sign that the body is sending emergency cells to the area. The redness is vasodilation. The blood vessels are opening up, and the soldiers, the immune soldiers, are going to the area. The blood is a highway for the immune cells, and blood vessels opening up allows them to be released to the tissues. Make sense?
Yes.
Anytime you have redness, you got an immune reaction. So here's the key word, reaction. You're having a reaction. A reaction, breaking it down etymologically, is a response to an action. Follow me?
Yes.
So the only thing you need to ask yourself, the only question you need to ask yourself is, what is the action that's causing the body to respond to that action or causing the reaction?
Right.
And when we talk about what is the action, I'm not talking about hitting your head on something, hitting your head with a hammer. I'm talking about an action that's getting into your bloodstream, right? Something is getting into your bloodstream. So then you see how we're working. We're going backwards here, logically and sequentially. So we got a reaction, which is a response to an action. The action is something getting into your bloodstream. How do things get into the bloodstream? Well, are you shooting up crack in the back alley, Joelle?
No.
Okay, I didn't think you were. So how else do things get into the bloodstream?
Food.
Bingo. Now, you may know this, and sometimes people don't know this because if things happen over and over again, they go under the radar, we don't notice them, but you may know it. Do you have a history of digestive issues?
Yes.
Well, there you go. And it's not an assertion. This is not, I really want people to hear, I'm not just saying this to work on gluten or lectins or intestinal permeability or dysbiosis. I'm not just saying it, I want it to be logical to you. Is this logical, Joelle? Does it make sense from a logical perspective? So what you want to do is, you said there's no flare-ups, that it happens consistently. What that tells us that you're doing something consistently. So what you're going to want to do is you want to lay off of food for a couple days. And what will probably happen is the redness will start to subside and then start eating again. And what you'll notice is the redness gets worse and your flare-ups get worse.
Right.
And that's what you're looking for, because once you have flare-ups, you got real-time information about what's getting into the bloodstream. And you're going to want to correct that by elimination. And then you're going to want to do all the digestive support. All the things we just talked about. I-26 for sure, first. Nightly Essence, Ultimate Enzymes, Ultimate Microbiome, the whole bit. Daily Digest. We can get you the whole digestive support. You want to treat this as a digestive condition. And in general, there is an intimate relationship between the skin and the digestive tract. And in many ways, the digestive system is the skin on the inside, and the skin is the digestive system on the outside.
Yes.
Both of which are barriers. The inside of the intestine and the digestive tract is a barrier to the bloodstream, and the skin is a barrier to the inside of the body. So the body has seen fit to put the same kind of immune cells in the digestive tract as is in the skin, and because of these similarities, digestive reactions oftentimes show up on the skin. And anytime you have a skin reaction, you want to backtrack to the digestive system, as with all reactions. But with the skin, the good news is you can make corrections much more quickly than you can with any other part of the body. The skin is extremely responsive to changes that you make internally. And you can this is a condition that could be resolved in 48 hours once you figure it out.
Okay.
Okay.
That would be-
Awesome. Now, Joelle, can you tell us about this picture? Where is this located on? And this is your husband,
Okay,
correct?
so I can't necessarily see from the picture, but that could be serious. So you want to keep your eye on that. I can't tell if it's not just a dermatitis or an eczema, but again, you want to backtrack it to the digestive system. However, it could be more serious than that, and that's why you either want to keep your eye on it or have it biopsied.
Yeah, he's got a lot of spots everywhere. Actually, that was the biggest one.
That could be serious, and that would be something I'd have a dermatologist or doctor look at. It could be serious and have it biopsied. I can't really tell from the picture, but it's possibly something serious. It could be a mild dermatitis, but it could be more important than that. More
Can I
significant.
have broth in the days of not eating?
And you have what?
Broth. A
Yeah,
bone broth.
I mean, it's better than eating a full meal for sure, but if you can lay off of food, lay off of broth, lay off of everything, that's probably best.
Okay.
And by the way, for people who have a hard time fasting, you should know that water is extremely filling. So when you're doing a fast, a lot of people will drink water, but you can try drinking like a quart of water at a time. Like just literally a quart, 32 ounces of water. a quart is a quarter of a gallon. And then put a little Beyond Tangy Tangerine in there to make sure you're getting your electrolytes, because the more water you're drinking, the more you're going to pee out your water-soluble nutrients. So put a little bit of Beyond Tangy Tangerine in there. But that can be very filling and very satisfying, just water.
I have a history of hypoglycemia too.
That could be involved. Metabolic syndrome is often involved with skin issues.
Yeah, so I'm just
And metabolic syndrome is also hypoglycemia and metabolic syndrome being, part and parcel of the same thing. That also involves bile in the gallbladder and the liver too. So those are all part and parcel of the same problem.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joelle.
Thank you.
Pharmacist Ben, I know you've got a hard stop. It is straight up 1 o'clock, so we're gonna let you
God bless
go
y'all.
to your
We'll see you
next
Friday.
show. See you Friday.
Rod, good to see ya. Sportis, let's do something this week. AJ, Sherry, Ruth Ellen, always nice to see you guys. Albert, Maryland, and that's all I can see. But bye, Becca.
Yep.
Bye,
All right.
everybody.
Bye,
Thank you.
Pharmacist Ben. And I apologize, we did not get to all the questions. Folks, if you could please, what happened to me? If I could get my co-hosts up on the screen with me, please. That would be absolutely fantastic. And we'll get here. There we go. Like I said in the beginning, technology is absolutely fabulous when it works, right? So today, folks, I hope that you were taking notes, and if you didn't take notes, then this replay is available right after the show starts. So whether you're watching us on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, or Spotify, or Audible, or Amazon Music, Amazon TV, Apple TV, iHeart, it doesn't matter. We are available and trying to meet people where they're at so that there are no boundaries to keeping the information from reaching people. So folks, make sure that you let us know where you are listening to us from. If there's a way to like and share and also subscribe, please make sure that you do that. Show us some love, give us some hearts, and most of all, folks, be empowered. As individuals, the information that we provide on this show is meant to help you help yourself and also those that you know. So just accept the fact that you do not have to be a slave to a pharmaceutical industry or the matrix that supports the pharmaceutical industry. We are made from vitamins, minerals, nutrients from the ground. And as we support our bodies and provide the things, the whole foods that the Creator has created for us to use as food, we are going to have a healthier outcome. So claim it. Since the nutrients are no longer in the soil and the foods that are grown in the soil, we have to be intentional in making sure that we're getting those from somewhere else. And that's why we have chosen the products that have been created by Longevity, offered by Longevity, which the founder of this crusade, the person who gave us this opportunity to be able to share information with you with solutions that work, is on this call as well. Dr. Joel Wallach, we just want to do a shout out to Dr. Wallach and thank him for all that he has done to allow us to be able to have information that offers solutions. So thank you, Dr. Wallach. You can also find all of Dr. Wallach's books on his website or reach out, call 800-755-4656 and get the information. He has 25 books, folks, that are tools to put in your toolbox, handbooks to allow you to be able to help yourself. The metabolic syndrome, as Pharmacist Ben had mentioned within the show, is one of the titles of the books that Dr. Wallach and I have written and put together. You can also find this on the website, drjwallach.com, or again, call 800-755-4656. And the good foods, bad foods list I put right here on the back cover, so you don't have to search for it. This can easily fit in a pocket, in a purse. So as you're going to the grocery store, you have this list with you, or take a picture of it, keep it on your phone. Folks, there's so much that we can do as individuals. As individuals. Claim that empowerment. AJ, I saw you had your hand up. Was that okay? So one more thing before we go. This Saturday, we are going to be having a business health. Okay, AJ, you can help me with this one. So AJ is sponsoring a Zoom this coming weekend that's going to be free to the public. It's actually going to be a live event that we are going to Zoom so that we don't leave anybody out. As we're going to be talking about business, we're going to be talking about different strategies to help us with our finances, business, health, branding ourselves. There's so much we can do as individuals who want to make a difference in this world and get a thank you check for it. He's going to be providing guest speakers from all different areas of business so that we can take this knowledge and put it into action as we're helping others with their health as well. So AJ, what did I forget?
And we're going to have some health experts like Pharmacist Ben and some other fantastic members of the YGY family help us out and give some advice. And there will be many professionals that are going to help us build our businesses as well. So if you can join us on the Zoom or on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, wherever you watch us, be sure to tune in. It should be pretty good.
Yes, so it is going to be Saturday, November 2nd from 12 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. 12 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And go to, where do you want them to go to, AJ?
You can go to ajhealthcoach.com. That might be the easiest place to get some information and sign up so that you get a notification. So ajhealthcoach.com has the information listed. That would be a good place. And thank you very much, Becca, for mentioning it.
Oh, absolutely. So folks, as we are working together, it takes more than just one person to do a program like this. And I am so honored and blessed to be able to have the individuals on the screen with me right now. Just a handful of the people who have really taken this health thing seriously and the empowerment that it has brought to them as well. I want to say thank you, Sherry, as part of our tech crew, who helps get everything set up for the streams so that the people that are watching this replay or watching the live stream somewhere other than Zoom, she's part of the team who puts it out there. So thank you, Sherry. We have AJ, who is behind the newsletter and getting us out onto all the different platforms and helping us set up the information that is found under each and every Zoom. So folks, make sure that you're clicking that show more so that you can see all the information that is in the description on the programs that are out on the web for you to be able to gain this information. Thank you, AJ. And Ruth Ellen, who is my executive production manager. She helps to keep us all organized. She also takes the Zoom, puts it with the graphics, and then pushes it out so that what you're seeing out on the recordings is what is going through her first. And we have Coach Rod. Coach Rod specializes in sports and health nutrition for athletes, and he is part of the team as well, helping to let people in, watching the different platforms. And as questions come in, which I know he had a hand up today, didn't get to that question, but folks, as questions comes in, come in. He is one that helps to bring those questions to the live Zoom. So thank you so much, Rod. We have Albert, that if you were waiting in the waiting room, he let you in. So we just want to say thank you to Albert for joining us from South Africa, as he's helping to promptly get people into the Zoom room and keeping an eye on names and things that are popping up throughout the Zoom. So thank you, Albert. And then last but not least, we have Marilyn, who we lovingly refer to as Fast Fingers, as she is putting information into the chat. And with that, some people can't take notes very fast. Some people, they've gotten to where they don't take notes because she does such a great job. They just do screenshots. So folks, you want to make sure that when you do join us live, that you do have that chat open so that you can take screenshots of the information that interests you most. My name is Becca Dukes, and I am honored to be the hostess of this program, a leader within the Longevity Company, and also the Director of Student Services for the Institute of Holistic Health, where we teach people how to look at the 4 areas of health, how they are related to nutritional deficiencies, how to select the solutions to those deficiencies. But we go more than just health, as we're looking at the emotional, the spiritual, the financial side of it. And there's 8 areas when it comes to life, folks. And that's what is taught in the Certified Holistic Health Coach course. You can find more information about that by going to coachwithbecca.com. That is coach, COACH, with WITH, Becca, BECCA.com. Thank you so much for joining us here on Daily with Doc and Becca. We will see you on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday this week. As we Friday, we will be preparing for our Saturday event, and I will be in the air. So folks, have a fabulous day, fabulous week, fabulous life as you are creating a better health journey. Let us be there with you, or get back with the person that shared this program. It's not an or. So if somebody shared this program with you, get back with them. If there's no one to thank, give our team a call at 855-949-3377. Again, 855-949-3377. Bye for now. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have the founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.